Welcome to While We Were Distracted, the podcast where we explore topics that often get overshadowed in the rush of daily life.
Welcome to our deep dive today. It's going to stretch our imaginations. You guys sent in a whole collection of articles, videos too, and even some personal notes, all about parallel universes. It's like you're all trying to build your own interdimensional travel kits. We've got a fun YouTube explainer by the Y-Files, and some pretty heady physics papers. So are you ready to see if we can sort out science fact from science fiction?
Well, it's a question that's fascinated thinkers for centuries, this whole idea of multiple universes, or a multiverse. It's a concept that has deep roots in human thought. It's not just something from modern science fiction.
Right, it seems like every time Hollywood needs a plot twist, boom, parallel universe. But that Y-Files video points out that even ancient Greek and Indian philosophers were playing around with similar ideas.
Yeah, exactly. Those ancient philosophers really grappled with the concept of infinity and the nature of reality. They were asking themselves if there could be worlds beyond our own, governed by the same or different laws.
Okay, so it's not just us with our fancy telescopes and particle accelerators who are obsessed with this. It's like a fundamental human question. But how did we go from pondering to actual scientific theories about parallel universes?
Well, that transitioned from just speculating philosophically to actual scientific inquiry really took hold during the Renaissance. Thinkers like Giordano Bruno, who unfortunately met a rather fiery end. They challenged the prevailing geocentric view of the universe, and Bruno proposed that there could be countless stars and planets, maybe even other worlds with intelligent beings on them.
Hold on, fiery end. That's putting it mildly, right?
To put it bluntly, he was burned at the stake for what he believed, which, makes you pause before you suggest some wild new theory at a dinner party. But seriously, it shows how revolutionary the idea of an infinite universe was, and still is.
Wow. Talk about putting your life on the line for an idea. So the seed of the multiverse was planted way back then. But the Y-Files video throws out all these different ways that parallel universes might exist. It's a bit overwhelming. Where do we even begin?
Let's start with the simplest concept, the vastness of the universe itself. Our observable universe is huge GE, but it's just a tiny portion of what might be out there. It's totally possible that beyond what we can observe, there are regions of space that are so far away that they basically are separate universes.
So basically, parallel universes by distance. Like they're so far away, they might as well be in another dimension.
Exactly. And then we have the idea of bubble universes, a concept that comes from inflationary cosmology. The idea is that the Big Bang might not have been a one-time thing, but rather an ongoing process that's constantly creating new bubble universes that expand and evolve independently from one another.
Okay, so instead of one Big Bang, it's like infinite Big Bangs popping off all over the place, each one creating its own little pocket universe with its own laws of physics.
Gets the idea. Now buckle up, because things are about to get really interesting. That video then dives into the quantum multiverse, which comes from quantum mechanics, which is notoriously weird.
Oh, I'm all about quantum weirdness. Bring it on.
Well, the video uses a lot of analogies. Like, what was it? A choose-your-own-adventure book. Can we get a bit more specific about what this quantum multiverse actually is?
Of course. The quantum multiverse comes from the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. It says that every quantum measurement, every interaction at the subatomic level causes reality to split, creating a new universe for every outcome.
Okay, so instead of just one reality moving along, it's constantly branching off into infinite possibilities. Like every time an electron spins up or down, a whole new universe pops into existence.
That's the essence of it. It's as if reality is a tree with an infinite number of branches, each representing a different outcome of a quantum measurement. And on each branch, a different version of you is experiencing a different outcome.
Whoa, that's a lot to process. And it all depends on this quantum world, which, as you said, is pretty strange to begin with. The video mentions the double slit experiment and Schrödinger's cat. Can you give us a crash course in Quantum Weirdness 101? Sure. The double slit experiment is a classic example of how particles at the quantum level can behave like both waves and particles. It's like they're playing hide and seek with us, with how we expect reality to work.
So they shoot electrons at a screen, but there's a barrier with two slits in it. And instead of going through one or the other, they act like waves and interfere with each other. It's like they're going through both slits at the same time.
Exactly. And what's even stranger is that if we try to watch which slit each electron goes through, the interference pattern disappears, and they act like particles again.
So just looking at them changes how they behave. That's crazy. But how does that connect to this many worlds idea?
Well, the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics, which was the main view for a long time, suggests that watching something collapses the wave function of a particle and forces it into a single state. But the many worlds interpretation has a different explanation.
Let me guess. Instead of collapsing, the wave function keeps splitting, creating new universes for each possible outcome. So in one universe, the electron goes through slit A, and in another, it goes through slit B.
Exactly. And in each of those universes, a different version of you is watching a different outcome. The many worlds interpretation gets rid of the need for a wave function collapse, and instead proposes that all possible outcomes actually happen, just in different branches of reality.
Okay, that's pretty mind-blowing. But didn't someone come up with a thought experiment to show how weird this whole superposition idea is? Something about a cat. Or was it a crab cat?
Ah, yes, Schrödinger's cat.
Yeah.
A thought experiment. It's designed to highlight the paradoxical nature of superposition. It involves a cat in a box, with a device that has a 50-50 chance of releasing a deadly poison.
Right, the Y-Files video did a whole animation of this. But with a crab cat, super cute, but also kind of morbid. So is the cat alive or dead?
Well, according to the Copenhagen interpretation, the cat exists in a superposition of states, both alive and dead, until we open the box and look. It's the act of observing that collapses the wave function and forces the cat into one state or the other.
Okay. But even with that crab cat animation, I'm having trouble wrapping my head around that. It can't be both, right?
Exactly. Schrödinger designed this thought experiment to expose the absurd implications of applying quantum principles to big, everyday objects. I mean, it's one thing to say an electron exists in multiple states, but a cat, that's where things get really tricky.
So how did physicists try to resolve this? Did anyone come up with an explanation that didn't involve zombie cats?
That's where Hugh Everett III comes in. He proposed the many worlds interpretation, which, as we discussed, suggests that all possible outcomes of a quantum measurement actually occur, but each in its own separate universe.
So instead of the cat being both alive and dead, there's one universe where it lives and another where it doesn't. Is that what Everett was saying?
Precisely. In the many worlds view, there's no need for a wave function collapse. Reality is always branching. With each branch representing a different outcome, it's very different from the Copenhagen interpretation. But it elegantly addresses some of the paradoxes of quantum mechanics.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this all fits together. So if we believe the many worlds interpretation, it means that every time a quantum measurement happens, a new universe is born. That's a lot of universes.
It is an infinite number, in fact. It's a concept that stretches the limits of our imagination, but it's a logically consistent interpretation of quantum mechanics.
And if there are infinite universes, does that mean there are infinite versions of me, each living out a different life, like one where I went to art school instead of doing this podcast?
Potentially, in the many worlds view, every choice, every possible outcome is realized in some branch of reality. It's definitely thought-provoking.
It is. It's a lot to unpack. But let's say for a moment that we accept this mind-blowing idea. Where are all these universes? Are they hidden dimensions? Can we travel between them?
Those are the million-dollar questions. And while the many worlds interpretation is gaining traction, it's still very much a theoretical framework. We don't have any solid evidence to prove or disprove it.
So it's all just speculation at this point, no way to test it.
Not exactly. We haven't found definitive proof. But there are ongoing scientific efforts to look for hints of other universes.
Okay, so there's hope. What kind of hints are scientists looking for?
One way involves looking for a hypothetical particle called the graviton. Gravitons are thought to carry the force of gravity, and some physicists think they could interact with other dimensions, potentially providing evidence for other universes.
So if we find gravitons, we find other universes.
It's not that straightforward, but finding gravitons would be a huge step towards understanding how gravity works at the quantum level, which could have implications for how we understand the multiverse.
So where do we look for these gravitons?
Places like CERN, with their powerful particle accelerators. They're leading the search, smashing particles together at incredible speeds, hoping to create exotic particles, including possibly gravitons.
It's like a game of cosmic billiards. But with particles we can barely imagine. What about those tiny black holes that the video mentioned?
Ah, yes. Another fascinating area of research. Some physicists think that tiny black holes, if we can create them, might have unique properties that connect them to other dimensions, including other universes.
Wait, tiny black holes? Aren't black holes supposed to be these giant cosmic vacuum cleaners? Shouldn't we be worried?
Not to worry. The black holes we're talking about here are microscopic, on the Planck scale. which is the smallest scale imaginable in physics.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to swallow anything substantial.
Okay, so no interdimensional black hole apocalypse coming anytime soon.
Yeah.
But if we did manage to create these tiny black holes, what would we be looking for?
Scientists would be looking for any anomalies in their behavior, any hints that they might be interacting with other dimensions or universes. It's very challenging research,
Well,
but it could lead to groundbreaking discoveries.
it sounds incredibly complex. But the video also mentions something about the cosmic background radiation and a cold spot. What's the connection to parallel universes there?
The cosmic microwave background radiation, or CMB, is a faint afterglow of the Big Bang that's all over the universe. Scientists have found a region in the CMB that's much cooler than the areas around it. The cold spot.
A cosmic cold spot. That sounds ominous. What's causing it?
One theory is that the cold spot might be evidence of a collision
Yeah.
between our universe and another universe a long time ago. It's a speculative idea, but it's one of the ways scientists are trying to find evidence of other universes in the echoes of the Big Bang.
So it's like a cosmic fender bender. But instead of crumpled metal, we get a cold spot in the universe's baby picture. That's pretty wild.
It is a fascinating possibility, and it highlights how scientists are trying to understand more by looking for subtle clues in the cosmos.
This whole conversation is making me rethink everything about reality. It's like opening a door to a whole new way of seeing the universe.
It's a journey that challenges us to reconsider our perceptions and invites us to consider the vastness of what might be out there, beyond what we normally experience.
But let's imagine for a second that we could bridge the gap between these universes. Would we even be able to recognize them or interact with them?
That's a profound question. Some theories suggest that parallel universes might exist on different vibrational frequencies or occupy different dimensions, making it impossible to interact with them directly.
So they could be all around us, but we just can't perceive them. Kind of like how dogs can hear sounds. That we can't.
That's a good analogy. It's the extent that we're limited by how we perceive things, and that there could be entire realms of existence that we just can't access with our current senses.
That's both humbling and mind-blowing. But let's imagine for a moment that we could find a way to bridge that gap, maybe through some futuristic technology, or even some natural phenomenon. What would that mean?
The implications would be revolutionary. It would completely change our understanding of physics, cosmology, and our place in the cosmos. It would be a paradigm shift, unlike anything we've ever seen.
It'd be like discovering that everything we thought we knew about the universe was just the tip of the iceberg. Imagine the scientific breakthroughs, the philosophical debates, the religious discussions.
It would be truly transformative. It would challenge our most basic assumptions about reality and open up so many possibilities.
But with those possibilities come some serious ethical considerations, right? I mean, if we could interact with other universes, wouldn't we have to be very careful and respectful?
Of course, any interaction with another universe would need to be approached with extreme caution and with a deep understanding of what could happen. We would need to establish clear ethical guidelines and make sure our actions didn't have unintended consequences, potentially catastrophic ones.
It's like the Prime Directive in Star Trek, but on a cosmic scale. We'd have to be incredibly mindful of the impact we could have on another civilization, or even a whole universe.
Precisely. Exploring other universes, if it ever becomes a reality, would demand a sense of responsibility and a willingness to challenge our own assumptions and biases.
This is incredible. We've gone from the world of quantum mechanics to the vastness of the multiverse, and we've even touched on the philosophical and ethical questions of interacting with other realities. What a journey.
It has been a fascinating exploration of a concept that continues to fascinate us and challenge our understanding of the universe.
Okay, before we get completely lost, in the infinite possibilities of the multiverse, let's bring the conversation back down to Earth for a minute. Why are we so drawn to these ideas? What is it about parallel universes that captures our imaginations so powerfully?
That's a great question. And I think it gets to the heart of what it means to be human. We're driven by curiosity, by a desire to understand our place in the universe, and by longing to explore the unknown.
So it's more than just escapism or science fiction fantasies.
Absolutely. The idea of parallel universes speaks to our deepest questions about who we are, about the choices we make, and about the nature of reality. It lets us explore the what-ifs in our lives and to think about the possibility that there might be other versions of ourselves out there, living out different destinies.
It's a powerful thought to think that there might be a universe where we made different choices, took different paths, and experienced life in a totally different way.
It is. And even though we may never have proof that they exist, thinking about these possibilities can deepen our understanding of ourselves and the universe we live in.
So even if it's all speculation, there's still value in thinking about these ideas.
Absolutely. It's through speculation, imagination, and pushing the boundaries of what we think we know that we make new discoveries and broaden our understanding of the world.
This has been an incredible conversation. We've covered so much, and I feel like I'm just beginning to understand the mind-blowing implications of this whole many worlds thing. But before we go to the final part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with a question. If you could meet a version of yourself from another universe, what would you want to ask them? What would you want to learn from their experiences?
Welcome back to our deep dive into the many worlds theory. I gotta say, my head is still spinning from all of the possibilities. It's like someone opened up the universe and showed us infinity.
It definitely challenges how we see things and pushes the boundaries of what we thought we knew about reality.
We went from ancient philosophers thinking about infinite worlds to physicists today looking for gravitons and tiny black holes. But now I think it's time for the big question. What does it all mean? If there are infinite versions of us out there, living out every choice we could have made, does that change how we see our own lives? That's the question that keeps a lot of us up at night. It's both exciting and scary to think about what the many worlds interpretation could mean. On the one hand, it suggests a universe full of possibility, where every choice, every path not taken, is happening somewhere out there.
Right. No more buyer's remorse. There's a me out there who bought the other pair of shoes and they're loving it. But seriously, does it make our choices less important if every outcome is playing out somewhere?
That's a question philosophers have thought about for a long time. Does having infinite possibilities mean our actions don't matter?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Every universe, every branch of reality is unique, shaped by the choices made within it.
So even if there are infinite versions of me, the choices I make here matter.
Absolutely. Your choices shape your experiences, your relationships, and who you become. It's true whether there's one universe or a multiverse.
Okay. That's a little comforting. But I still wonder, if the many worlds interpretation is right, is there any point in trying, in working towards goals, if there is a version of me who's already achieved it all?
I think that misses the point of a meaningful life. It's not about reaching some end goal. It's about the journey. It's about the choices we make, the challenges we face, the connections we build.
So it's not about comparing ourselves to our multiverse selves, but about focusing on our own path in this reality.
Exactly. Who knows? Maybe those other versions of us are looking at us and wishing they made some of our choices. The point is, each path matters. Each journey is unique.
This has really changed how I see things. It's like looking at the stars and realizing each one could be a doorway to another universe, another reality.
It is humbling and awe-inspiring. It reminds us how vast existence is and the infinite possibilities beyond what we can see.
Even if we can't actually travel to these other universes, just the idea of them can help us be more imaginative and understand what might be possible.
I agree. It can inspire us to be more open-minded, more curious, and to challenge what we think we know about reality.
So, as we wrap up this amazing deep dive into the many worlds theory, I want to leave you with one last thought. Even if we never prove other universes exist, just thinking about them can change how we view our own lives, our choices, and our place in the cosmos.
Well said. It reminds us that there's always something new to discover, to learn, and to wonder about. The universe with all its possibilities is an endless source of fascination and inspiration.
So keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep imagining the infinite possibilities out there. You never know what you might find.
If you enjoyed this episode of While We Were Distracted, be sure to watch the video that inspired it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next episode on While We Were Distracted.